Hi friends, welcome back to Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. So today I have a really big video. I have a ton of things to show you. I have like piles of books over here to show you and share with you what we will be doing in the upcoming school year for history, geography, science, art appreciation, and music appreciation, I believe. And I'm going to be covering my 4 kids who are going into 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. The 10th grader won't be doing quite as much, but she will be joining in with the group subjects and she'll have a little bit of a break off with some of these. So a lot of these we do together as a group, but then depending on their age or their grade level, they might be doing some additional things to make it a credit because I have 2 high schoolers here. So I have some notes over here to keep me on track. And then I have organized my piles here so I can make sure I cover everything I want to cover today. Before I go too far, today's video is a collaboration hosted by myself and Shauna from Homegrown Homeschool. It is part of our curriculum reveal series. This is my absolute favorite type of video. This is the stuff I really like. I really like history, geography, science. I love that kind of stuff. And I love it when there's group subjects or literature based, which is what I'm going to be showing you today. So it's a collaboration and I will have a playlist in the description box below that will include some other homeschooling moms and what they're doing in these sort of subjects for the upcoming school year. So you'll want to check out that playlist when you're done watching this video. And if you'd like to see what I'm doing for math and language arts, I will also have my playlist below on my curriculum picks for the upcoming school year. And you can find out what I'm doing for those 2 subjects as well. So, yeah. So like I said, we are a literature-based family. We do these subjects sort of in a literature-based approach. So I have piles of books here. I'm going to just be going through them. I'm going to be pulling them over and just explaining our plans for each of these things. And I'm actually going to start today with geography. So here's my geography. So here's my geography pile. We are going to be continuing with Guest Hollow's high school geography and cultures curriculum. So we started this 3 years ago. And we really like geography in this family. I really like to deep dive into the different areas we are studying. So I started this when all my kids were in middle school, and now we're in high school and we are continuing with it. So this is what the teacher manual looks like. We are going to be doing parts that we haven't done yet. So we have not covered South America and we have not covered Europe. So those are the 2 continents that we are going to be studying this school year. So as a family, we are going to be doing these books here. I have talked about these in many videos in the past. These are sort of the core. We just cover the countries using this. So we have Smithsonian's People and Places, Where on Earth Atlas, A World of Wildlife. We have Hungry Planet, Prisoners of Geography, Our World Explained in 12 Simple Maps, and Material World. So these are sort of my core. This is what I do with all of my kids, and what I read is scheduled out in Guest Hollow's curriculum. And then Guest Hollow's curriculum also includes an online textbook where they will cover the different countries and continents and give more in-depth information. They'll have videos that they can watch. And they have a workbook to fill out as they are studying that. So my high schoolers, my 9th and 10th grader, will be going through the workbook and completing the parts that we haven't done yet on Europe and South America. So they do that additionally. So because we have done about 3/4 of this curriculum, we're only going to be doing about 1/4 of the curriculum. So that's like a once a week sort of thing where they have a lesson to do, to worksheets to fill out. We do also read books from the area, and Guest Hollow has books that we can read scheduled in here. So we'll do them usually as read alouds, but I could assign them as readers as well, just depending on if we want to do that or not. And like, if you're wondering, how do I do this for credits for high school? Well, we'll be completing this curriculum at some point, and so at some point I'll just assign my high schoolers a high school geography credit. And then as far as my 2 middle schoolers, we might go through it again. Honestly, we might do this again and just go a little more in depth. I did pick the books that are more for the middle school level on this round, so I could pick some of the books that are more advanced. Guest Hollow always gives you a ton of different recommendations, and there are definitely books that we did not use because of the more mature content, and we weren't ready for that when we started in middle school. But we could go through this again and use the more high school level content when it comes to my boys. I don't know if we go into it immediately or maybe take a year or 2 off and then get started again in this curriculum. So I absolutely love this curriculum. I am gonna say either this one or I really liked Guest Hollow's Junior Anatomy. Those are my 2 favorite ones, and we're using this for 4th year. So that's what we're doing for geography. Now, this kind of goes along with geography, but this is going to be our music appreciation. Oh, I didn't mention that Guest Hollow also has a lot of YouTube videos that are linked. So we will continue to watch those YouTube videos together as a family. We usually do that during lunch. I'll have like several playlists and we'll do geography once in a while. And so there's also music involved in there. So music appreciation for around the world. But we are going to be continuing with Living Harmonies by Thistles and Biscuits. This is volume 1. There are about 2 more chapters that we have left in this. So we started this about a year and a half ago, and I decided to just do it very slowly, and I just sort of pair it with what we're learning in geography. So I think the parts we have left, we did do flamenco. We should have saved that for when we were in Spain, but we've done that already. So we're going to be doing, honestly, we haven't done musical theater. I think we might do that this year. I'm not sure. But we have Cambia, so that's music from Colombia. And we also have Scandinavian folk that we haven't done yet. So those 2 are the chapters that we definitely will be doing in this next year in sort of our group subjects rotation. So that's sort of our music appreciation for the year. All right, next I have 2 piles. 2 piles for history. So let me explain this as we go along. This year we have been doing, I would say more my middle school boys. My middle school boys have been doing Book Shark Level G, which is early and ancient world history. And so we're going to be moving into Book Shark H. So this is more modern history. Now I do make some adaptions. What I really like about Book Shark or Sunlight are their reader recommendations. I do like Sunlight's Bible recommendations. I often use those. But in this level, they are recommending Story of the World. So G would be the first 2 volumes and H would be the next 2 volumes. Now we have listened to all of those in our van pretty recently, so I didn't want to do that again. So this year I started on A Child's History of the World, and I just lined this up with what we are reading in the Kingfisher Encyclopedia, which is scheduled out in Book Shark. So as we're reading things in the Kingfisher Encyclopedia, we are listening to the chapters in A Child's History of the World. Now this was written, I think, in the 50s, so it is going to stop. It's not going to go super far into modern history. So I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do as far as modern history, just to have a little bit of an additional resource. And so I decided that I was going to try out, I think I'm going to get the audiobook of The Mystery of History, Volume 4. So that is a Christian history program, if you're not aware. I would say most of the things I use here are mostly secular or neutral, but that one is definitely a Christian history. They will definitely bring the Bible and the church and all of that into history. So I'm thinking I might do that as my audiobook to go along with Kingfisher and our Book Shark H history. So I do that with my middle school boys. Now I do like our histories to line up, all of us together. And so for my 9th and 10th grader, they will be doing Guest Hollow's Whirlwind World History. Now, if you have been around here, you would know that my ninth grader has already been doing this. Now, my plan was to spend 2 years on this, and so that is what we're doing. She is doing about the first half of this because that goes along with what my boys are learning in Book Shark Level G. And so she will be completing the next part of this for her history this year. So she'll be doing more modern history. Now, I do assign her some of the Book Shark read alouds and readers that she reads on her own. I read the read alouds to my boys and they are reading the readers as well, but my daughter who's doing this is also doing a lot of the Book Shark readers and read alouds. But she is also reading some of the guest holo recommendations. So first of all, like the other course, Whirlwind World History has an online textbook. They have a workbook, so she is completing that on her own. She reads the textbook, she watches the videos, she is doing the workbook. We're not really going through the additional YouTube videos that they have at this point. We aren't really using that part of this time. Now, Guest Holo also does have some other recommendations for books. So just some examples of ones I have on hand. She's reading the Viking Hond book right now, I think around right now. She has Messenger, The Legend of Joan of Arc, and this is a graphic novel. The Viking Hond book is more of just about the Vikings and the way they lived and things like that. So it kind of has some pictures, but looks more like that. And then another example of one she'll be reading at some point is this one, Black Ships. This is a graphic novel. It is Illustrated Japanese History, The Americans Arrive. So Japanese history set in like 1853. So I guess probably when the Americans first kind of started interacting with Japan a little bit more. Okay, so that is that. And that's just some examples of the type of resources that Guest Holo will recommend. And I will pick and choose from their recommendations and add them. I do try to get as many from the library as I can, and then I purchase a few. If I really think that she'll enjoy them, I purchase those. Otherwise, I'm using a lot of the Book Shark readers and read alouds for her to supplement her learning. Now, an additional thing that she does that is scheduled in Guest Holo is more of their extra resources. And this daughter is very artistic, and so I have her every 5 days, I have her stop and do something from these books. So I have Art That Changed the World, and I have History of the World in 1000 Objects. So Guest Holo has those scheduled out. She has a book of centuries that she is drawing in and writing. So she's drawing artifacts and she's writing information as she's traveling through history. And so that is something she actually created this book herself. And so we do have this on Amazon. I will link that below if you are interested in a book of centuries. It's just set up like this. So it basically has a blank page here, and then it has the years, and you can add information on this side and draw artifacts and things like that on the other side. I will also link all of the books that I'm mentioning here. Well, as many as the description will allow. Sometimes I have to pick and choose because I have so many resources and there's only so many characters, but I will link all of the major things that I mentioned in this video in the description box below. So that is, oh yeah, so I didn't mention my 10th grader. She was doing history at the school that she's at. She's at a hybrid school last year. I think we're going to bring history back home this upcoming year. So she will be doing this as well. She will just start halfway through the book and she'll just do modern history, and I will sort of have a similar program for her as far as history goes. Okay, so if that's not enough history for you, I'm just gonna add in some more history. I love history. So I happen to have this resource. We started it several years ago. It is Beautiful Feats, Modern American and World History. And I was combining this with Book Shark D and E, more E, when we were at that part of history. And we sort of fizzled out at the end of Book Shark E. I don't know if we ever finished. No, we never finished American history completely. So this round, I do want to focus a little more on American history. And so I thought I would bring this out as well. So this is going to be more of a group history time. So I have my boys doing Book Shark H, my girls doing Whirlwind World History from Guest Hollow, and then during our group time, we can focus more on this beautiful feet history. I will wait until our timelines are aligned before I get started on this. So this will not be right away. Now, where we ended around, looks like the Great War. So that would be World War I. So once we hit World War I, I'll start adding this into our rotation. Now I have a bin here with the books that I have that go along with this history. So I don't think I have all of the books mentioned, but there's a good deal of them in here. So we have Ronald Reagan, our 40th president, War Boy, a wartime childhood. So that is sort of a picture book, kind of. We have Gladys Allward, The Little Woman. We have Stealing Home, the story of Jackie Robinson, Echoes of the White Giraffe, Year of Impossible Goodbyes, Water Buffalo Days, Sergeant York, Number the Stars, and I have two Number the Stars, and Air Raid Pearl Harbor. So Beautiful Feet books usually uses books like this to teach history, which is why I really like Beautiful Feet books. Once again, a literature-based approach. They also use as their core spine a child's first book of American history. I'm not going to worry about that so much. So the one I like to use as an encyclopedia for this is this one, Smithsonian's American History. So I can pair that along with these books to cover more go in depth in American history. And so I would say by the time we're done this, I could also give my girls an American history credit. So I'm not worried about how long this takes. If we are doing Book Shark H longer than a year and we are doing this more than a year, I'm not too worried about it. I can give my kids the credits that they need to cover that. So that is what we are planning on doing next year for history. All right, so next I'm going to talk about science, and I'm going to talk about science for my 7th and 8th grade boys. So my middle school boys first, because we're not going to do that as a group subject. I'm just going to be doing that with them more as a small group. So we have started this one maybe around Christmas time, and so we are not going to finish it. We have been working on this, Discovering the Wonders of the Universe, a journey through astronomy. This is actually my own course that I created. I created it for my current 10th grader. She really loved astronomy. We really like a literature-based approach. And so I decided to go ahead and make my own literature-based approach to astronomy. And so my daughter went through it last semester. She did it in one semester. This is her 9th grade year. So she did it in one semester. And this does have scheduled about 84 days. But with my boys, we don't do science every single day. And so it is definitely going to take us a bit longer, maybe closer to a year. So we'll see. We are about week 5 at this point. Yeah, I go very slowly. So I like the resources I have in here, and we don't do science a lot in the middle school years. So this was really great for my high schooler when she's able to do it on her own. She was able to accomplish most of this in one semester. But when I'm reading aloud to my boys, it just takes a lot longer. So we just go through it slowly. So I have some books here to show you sort of the spine of this course and a few of the extras, and I'll just explain how I do it. So some of the spines are, we have DK Eyewitness Books, Astronomy. We have Space Maps. We have Planetarium. These are Welcome to the Museum books. These are just beautiful books. Both of these books, these big books, are beautiful. We have Space Explorations. And then sort of as the experiment guide, which I don't really use because we don't do a lot of experiments in my home, is this one. So Janice Van Cleve's Astronomy for Every Kid. So this has some experiments that you can do with like everyday objects in your home. And then I do have, these are secular books here. I do have some Christian resources that I have scheduled in my guide and we are using as well. And so we have Exploring the World of Astronomy by John Hudson Tinner. I really love his books. He does these great science textbook type things, but they're written really narrative style. I really enjoy them. And then he has also written a lot of scientist biographies that I really like. So I have quite a few of those. So we are going through that. And then we also have the astronomy book. This is by Masterbook. And this is Dr. Jonathan Henry. So just another Christian worldview book on astronomy. And then some extra books I have just because I have them right now and we're doing them right now. What We See in the Stars. And we have the Kids Book of the Night, Kids Book of the Night Sky. And so I just have tons and tons of books scheduled throughout. I have some readers and novels and things like that as well. And so if you like a literature-based approach and you're looking for sort of that 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, I used it for 9th grade with my 9th grader because I can. If you're looking for that, you can check out below. I will have a link to the guide that I created. And then I use things like this. So this is like a draw and write notebook. This is actually also created by my daughter now at some point. So I can have a link to these. But my kids, this every other lesson, we sort of do a narration. So we draw a picture from what we're learning, and then we write a paragraph about it. And I'm just showing this son's because his handwriting is neat. My other son's is not so much. And so that's just sort of how we show what we know when we're studying this. So whenever we finish astronomy, we will be moving into this. So this is Discovering Earth's Wonders, also a guide that I created to go along with the astronomy. Just seemed like the natural next thing to do. My current 9th grader, who will be in 10th grade, she is currently going through this on her own. It will be a 1-semester class for her. And so this is what we will be doing once my boys have finished astronomy. I did forget to mention that both of these guides not only have books, but they also have a bunch of YouTube videos linked as well that go along with the topic that they're learning. I'm just going to give you an example of a week here. So this is sort of what a week looks like. We have a grid with a bunch of books to read and what you could read, and then we have videos that go along with that. So linked YouTube videos to go along with that. So some of the spine books of this course are, we have Smithsonian's Geography. We have the New York Public Library, Incredible Earth. I have scheduled in these the DK Eyewitness. We have Volcanoes and Earthquakes, Weather, and Rocks and Minerals. And then for more hands-on, these are just two of the hands-on things I have in there. We have Professor Figgy's Weather and Climate Science Lab. We also have a Geography Lab one in there. And then this is the Amazing Earth Model book. So this is more paper models that can be created. I think this has actually been a lot of fun for hands-on and easy to do. And then I also have Christian resources scheduled out as well. Once again, John Hudson Tinner, this is Exploring Planet Earth. So my daughter is reading that and I will read that with my boys. And then once again, two of the master books ones. So we have the weather book and the geology book scheduled in there. And then just for examples of some other books that are scheduled throughout, this one is almost a spine. I use it a lot in this course. It is Earth-Shattering Events, Volcanoes, Earthquakes, Cyclones, Tsunamis, and Other Natural Disasters. I have What's the Weather and Water Cycles. Those are just a few of the books. Like I said, I scheduled in a whole bunch of books. I bought the spine books, but a lot of these I just found at the library. You can really mix and match and choose what works for you. You don't have to use all the books, and you'll still get a really good understanding of earth science. And so that is my earth science unit that I'll be using with my boys probably towards the end of next school year. So for my 9th grader, next school year, she is going to be continuing with Guest Hollows High School Chemistry in the Kitchen curriculum. So this is our 2nd year using this. She's going into 9th grade. She has been doing this already, but she has been pretty much doing 9th grade credit for most of her 8th grade year. So what happened with this is we started with the 4-week supplement. Our parent partnership program had a 2-hour chemistry class. So she has been taking a 2-hour chemistry class at the parent partnership program. It's been very informative. I've been in that class as well because I have to be there with one of my sons. But we'll probably get halfway through this. And so I don't want to rush through this. So I decided we're going to do this another year. As far as credits go, I decided that we could do a chemistry credit, and then we could do a culinary science credit on top of that, because there's just so much in here. I'm just looking at the grid. We have tons of books that we're reading. We're learning about the periodic table. There's videos, there's activities, there's baking and cooking and experiments and things like that. So a whole bunch of stuff in here. Some of the books that she's currently reading for this is Dr. Joe and What You Didn't Know. We have What Einstein Told His Cook. We have Culinary Reactions, Napoleon's Buttons, 17 Molecules That Changed History. And so these are sort of the types of books that she's reading for her science. And then they have some extra ones scheduled in, like Galen and the Gateway to Medicine, things like that. And so once again, it's guest hollow. They use a literature-based approach, and then they have YouTube videos and activities and baking and all sorts of things in there. So it's a very full curriculum, and we are just taking our time to go through it. So one last thing that I forgot to mention as far as what we're doing as a group, we may or may not be doing this. So I guess it's okay that it's at the end. I'm still deciding on whether or not we are going to go into the next level of high gas fee, which is Have I Got a Story for You? If so, we would be doing the Baroque period. We did the Renaissance period this year. The kids really did like the videos. We do one video every 2 weeks or so. There's only 12 videos, so it's not that hard to get through. Yeah, so I'm still deciding. I haven't decided everything yet, but I'm still deciding if we want to do the next level of that. So that would be the Baroque period. And they also have like the Impressionist and then the post-Impressionist periods, I think, that we could do in the future if we wanted to. Yeah, so that is what we're planning on doing, I guess, for geography, history, science, music, art, music appreciation, all those things. I hope I did not talk your ear off and that all makes sense. As you can see, we are sort of continuing a lot of things that we have already started. Yeah, especially that 9th grader. I'm just like continuing on with what we're doing. We're not rushing through things. We're just moving on to the next thing. I think as I've homeschooled more and more, it's just become a lot more fluid. I don't really care if we finish certain things at certain times. Of course, we are putting in the work, we are putting in the hours. I'm not just randomly giving out credits, but if we're putting in the work and we're putting in the hours, I have no problem giving them credits for it. We're just enjoying the journey. Like I said, my boys, we don't do a ton of science. We do it twice a week, and we do as much as we do. And that's what we do. So not too concerned about finishing a whole thing. And then once we get to 9th grade, we'll worry about actually doing a full-on subject, and they can be a lot more independent, and I don't have to read everything to them, and it's just easier for us to get through more once they get to high school and they're a little more independent. So don't forget to check out the playlist below to see what all the other homeschool moms are doing in these subjects in the upcoming school year. Check back next Wednesday to find out what we're doing for our extras and extracurriculars and things like that for next year. Don't forget to let me know what you're doing for these subjects next year. I always like to hear about what people are doing. So let me know in the comments below, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for coming today, and I hope to see you all in a future video. Bye, everyone.